All right, what is going on? How's everybody doing out there? It's your Uncle Steve here on a Monday, November 14th, joining you here in Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe, tell your other friends about subscribing throughout the year so we can get these subs up so a brother can give y'all some more content. And welcome to all the Atlanta Bird Game members in Facebook. Always glad to talk shop with you guys. Well, this, of course, with Thursday's game going on, a little bit of hangover and things to, really not talk about unless you're talking about the NFL in general, which does kind of affect us, just like yesterday. Tampa Bay winning that game in Seattle changes a little bit of the mindset, possibly for some fans. And then in some fans' minds, it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe that's it's a good thing, bad thing. Just trying to feel the vibe of what we got going on here in Atlanta. Well, today, of course, Arthur Smith comes back to Flowery Branch and gives his interview and makes it clear that Marcus Mariota is going nowhere, which is not really that much of a surprise. And I hear everyone loud and clear, and myself included, when you kind of scratch your head and you say, well, dang, coach, I've seen a lot of things over the last couple of days. Why aren't we doing anything? But then I can also understand where Arthur is like, hey, I'm sticking with my guy. We are one game out of the top spot. And while we are still in that position, maybe you don't want to change things up that much. I don't know. But whatever it is, he has decided that. Let me read it verbatim. But he came out and he said, when he was asked, was there a quarterback situation following Thursday? Coach says, quote, there is no situation. There was never a situation. Ever, never, he said. You lose 2 games in 5 days and everybody wants to panic. But we're right in the middle of it. We're not where we want to be. But the reality is that you're right in the middle of a playoff race. He goes on to say there are a couple of plays where you can certainly put the blame on him, but there's blame to go around operationally. If there's pressure right there, I don't know what to tell the quarterback when he's looking down to pick the ball up, because if it's a low snap, that's kind of hard to overcome there. It's the little things that add up that we can do better, and we have at times. I wouldn't pinpoint it on one player. End of quote. So how do y'all feel about that? I mean, it's easy for us, and we're fans. So, dude, if we could change things out like they do in Madden, how easy it is to push a pause button and insert one player in a position and you can control them and make them do it. I'm sure he could do it if that was that easy, but it really isn't. Now, I do defend him on the fact that things would probably change. Now, they could change for the better, but those players who have been through these first 10 weeks are used to Marcus Mariota right now. And if you ask most of the players, it seems like they are down with Marcus Mariota. I'm not even sure they are even in the category of, hey, we want to change as well. Think about what just went on with our former quarterback up there in Indy. And I'm just bringing it up. I'm not trying to talk about him, but they sat him down, brought the other guy in, the rookie. I'm just eligible rookie. I think he's rookie or second year. And the chemistry was off. The team looked horrible, and they lost 2 games in a row. Bring back our former player, and then there's a little bit of energy, a little bit of spark, and they win a game, albeit against the Raiders, but they do win a game. There's something to be said about camaraderie. There's something to be said about chemistry, even if your team is 4-6. sometimes there is something to be said about whether guys just perform better with certain quarterbacks there. I don't know. Marcus has left a lot on the table. Marcus has not done a very good job this year. There is no doubt about it. He's done some good things, but he's not had that extra needed to put us over the top. But at the same time, we are 10 games in, 7 games left. We're still in the fight. The tide could easily turn. Tampa has a little bit rougher of a road than we have closing up. So who knows? Let's see how it works. Let me go to everybody, see how y'all doing. Winston's in the house. What's going on, Winston? How you doing, sir? I apologize. I don't have my my Facebook screen to the next to me. So if I see Facebook user, I'm just gonna call y'all Facebook user because I can't see what it is. I can see Millie Mills. What's going on, brother? How you feeling today? I see my girl Monica out there in the house. How you doing, Monica? Good to see you in the house, in Uncle Steve's lounge and in Atlanta Bird Game. Charles B in the house. What's up? There is false start as usual. My friend, how you feeling, brother? Say they tanking. I don't think they're tanking, man. I must disagree with you on that. If they were tanking, I think you would see a little bit more. Well, I'll put it this way. If they were tanking, that Carolina game would have been a perfect time to put in Ritter. So I don't think they're tanking. If they were tanking, I think you see a lot of more of the young guys come in there on defense, maybe some substitutions on offense, guys we haven't seen this year. And I think they're going with who they have. Now, we also have to remember, I don't want to toss this aside like it's a non-factor. I mean, like a lot of other NFL teams, I mean, we are just beat up. Our secondary has been gutted. And we have a lot of folks missing. And this week, the offensive line, for the first time this year, maybe it's in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, it looked kind of dismal too. I mean, we were getting gashed, and it's right up the middle. I know that left guard spot has been a problem. Dahlman was having issues with the snaps all day, as Arthur Smith was talking about when you were getting all the low snaps, and he was. Dahlman was not helping him out in that situation. I think as fans, I talk about this all the time before the season starts. Just like with college football and pro football, you have one time during the week where everything you built up to, the crescendo builds up to 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock on Sunday. And in that 3-hour span, that's your body of work to judge. And for the Falcons, a little time ago, when they were 4-4, I mean, they were the belle of the ball. We were talking about them on ESPN, and they were the team that the silent team that could be the sleeper team and everything like that. And all it takes is 2 losses, and now everybody's changing their mind. I'm not trying to tell you they're justified for not changing their minds, but that's just how we are as fans, man. I hear Buffalo fans. Hear me out. I hear Buffalo fans complaining about Josh Allen. I'm going to tell you what, I don't care how bad the interception was to Peterson this week. I'll gladly take him off your hands for you. Buffalo fans, if y'all want to jettison him down here to the bins, shit, we'll give you Mariota in a heartbeat. But that's what we do as fans. We take the moments, and we are very sensitive about how our team reacts in the moments. That's why we're fans. So Thursday, it was ugly. So what is the attitude of the fan base? It's ugly. You're not going to get any pretty talk. You're not going to get any pats on the back. Coach Smith, who was two weeks ago, was talked about being coach of the year. And now all of a sudden, you're sitting back and now we're judging, how bad they are. So when we start talking about judging a team game by game, right now the Falcons are on the downslope. And I understand everybody getting mad. You should get upset. Those are 2 games you probably should have had, especially the Charger game. But that's what we do, y'all. D, what's going on? D said, we lose the next 2 winnable games, then let's see if Smith keeps that same energy. That's a fair point. It's a fair point. And he did say it. He said that we're still in it. And so, D, if Tampa wins the next 2 and we lose the next 2, guess what? Maybe it does strike a change. Maybe we get to that bye and start thinking about making some changes. Charles says, is Ritter ready to go? It's another fair question. Maybe he's not. Maybe that's why he's not in a rush to send him out here. I got a feeling if Ritter was ready to go at the beginning of the regular season, maybe we'd see Ritter. But I think right now, as it is, we are 4-6 in a horrible division, 1 game out, with a chance to play Tampa Bay at the end of the year if things shake out. And we're 1 game back or tied or however it is, we're still in that hunt. So while we're still in that hunt, I don't blame Arthur Smith for feeling like he does. Feel like we got a chance, let's go for it. And go for it means sticking with the guy who got us here, and that's Marcus Mariota. John, how you doing, sir? Good to see you in Uncle Steve's Lounge. I got you. Facebook user says, would love to know if Ritter is legit bad in practice or if Arthur Smith is just stubborn, kind of leaning towards the latter. And I know it's easy for us to say stubborn. That's why I put it up there and said stubborn or smart. I don't know how much of the offense Ritter caught on to during the preseason. I know, remember, there were a couple of little bit of criticisms with Ritter from Arthur Smith in a couple of those press conferences during the preseason. So maybe he didn't catch on as quickly as people thought. Or maybe Arthur just has a plan to say, you know what? I'm going to have this team out here with a veteran. We're going to ride the veteran and go out. And maybe that does seem a little stubborn. But then, as a lot of folks always bring up the Patrick Mahomes type mentality, or what we did here with Mike Vick. Wait until the very end of the year. Maybe if we're not in it, because if we're in it, Mariota's not leaving. But if we are out of it, let Ritter get his feet wet in week 17 and 18, and then let's roll with it and see how it is. But it's hard to sit here and be a harsh critic of Coach Smith. And he's seeing the team more than we are. All we're doing is guessing. I think all of us think, hey, those preseason throws we saw with Ritter are going to be perfect. And he wasn't perfect, folks, in preseason. Let's not get a short memory. He wasn't perfect. But I know with every bad throw and every bad decision Marcus Mariota makes, I understand why the fan base wants to go in that direction. So that's why I ask people, and I'm asking you all, is that Coach Smith being stubborn or Coach Smith being smart? Let me know. Facebook user says, if Smith believes Ritter needs more time, he won't put him out there and destroy any improvement he's made during the season, regardless of how fans or media feel about the matter. And of course he is not. That is his team. He can decide how he wants to do. I mean, he can make, the fans, we have a tendency to believe that our tweets and videos like this and things like that are being stocked up in the Atlanta Falcons Flowery Branch vault. And then we show them to Coach Smith and say, oh, man, well, Uncle Steve doesn't think you need to do that, bro. So you might want to switch your mind up, man. He's busy trying to win a game. And he probably tries to stay off social media. I'm sure when he goes through the house, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to see anything with an F in front of it in a blue circle. He doesn't want to see a red and white with a YouTube in the middle of it and things like that, because we have a tendency to, want to have things our way. And we have a right to vent because we're invested fans. And I think he gets that. And it was at one point that he even says, he said, I get it. I get why everybody's feeling this the way they are. I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying that. But his responsibility is to get this team prepared with the best folks, at the helm. And right now, he thinks that's Marcus Mariota. Facebook user also says, I think most players are going to say they support their quarterback. We can all see KP's body language is different this year. Yeah, and Pitts, look, when you had the type of year Pitts did and the numbers he got and the targets he got last year, of course, this is growing pains, especially in your second year. You thought when that was your first year, you came close to breaking the record for most yards by a rookie tight end. You thought that, hey, the sky's the limit the next year. All of a sudden, everything changes where you went from 8 to 10 targets a game. You might max out at 4 or 5. You're regulated to do more blocking than you were probably doing last year. And then the passes that are coming to you, now Pitts he should take some blame on a couple of drops, but then you got some passes that are coming to you 2 feet over your head and you're already 6'6". I mean, of course he's frustrated. I'm sure Drake is frustrated. Same thing. You were brought in to be a difference maker offensively, and you aren't able to show your worth. So I understand how the guys could probably have a problem with that. John says we would be fine if he just hit a few deep passes. That too. I mean, the deep pass is truly something that's been a problem for him. Absolutely. Another Facebook user says, Unc, what's going on, y'all? How you doing? Hey, Steve, 2 questions. How do you like Arthur Smith's play calling? I like to have a better OC. What's going on with CP? Notice he hadn't been on the field in key situations. I hope with CP, starting with that one, they didn't bring him back too soon. It could have also been because of the, with the field being wet and the situations too sloppy where you don't want to mess up that knee again. He is coming off of some knee cleaning. So, and you got some horses back there. You got some young horses who can take those carries, and they did a okay job. I think leading to your first question about play calling, there are some situations that make me scratch your head, but I think combined with the play calling has been decision making. For some reason, the last 2 weeks, Mariota has regressed in his decision making. I can say a lot about his play in the first 4 games, but for the most part, he didn't lose games. And I'm not saying he individually is responsible for losing the games. No, I have to tell you guys, quarterbacks are going to get the blame a lot of times and the credit. But those first 4 games, those first 8 games at 4-4, you can, the New Orleans fumble, that he was trying to make a play. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about he did a couple of plays against Carolina that was just so uncharacteristic of what he's done this year. A couple of times when the pass rush came up on him and he just literally sidetracked his way to the sideline, didn't throw the ball away. You lost 8 yards and you basically walked to the sideline instead of throwing the ball forward and trying to save 6 or 7 yards. And you went from second and medium to third and extra long. And this team is not built for third and extra long. We don't have a Justin Jefferson that can go one-handed and catch a 4th and 18. I mean, maybe we do, but I don't know if the quarterback can get it to him. But this team isn't built for 4th and long, a 3rd and long. So those kind of things, I mean, we could talk about the little meme throw all day, which was absolutely ridiculous. Even though it didn't count, just the thought that you would think that was something smart to do is bothersome. But I don't know. Who knows? Amari in the house. How you doing, brother? Say, I wonder how Terry feels about all this. I don't know. You haven't seen or heard a lot of Terry from this point. It's I don't know. I'm sure the next time he's put in front of a mic in front of the field reporters, not in front of people who are coming for specific interviews, not the Falcons inside people. I'm talking about the D-Leds and the Michael Robinsons and folks like that. I'm trying to think what my boy's name is, but I'll think about him. But yeah, I don't know what Terry's thinking. I know Arthur Blank didn't look happy on the sideline. Facebook user said, very good question. John says, or just hit open receivers. He's having a hard time with that. And those are the things that I think fans look. He had a rough time last week because I also think not having that left guard, Wilkerson, I wasn't trying to make him the end all be all at left guard, but he sure was helping out quite a bit when he was in the game. And with him being on the IR now, you're seeing some different strategy going on. Those guys are coming straight up the middle, very similar to last year when we had Jalen Mayfield in that same position. And it's not Kobe Gossett's fault. I mean, he's thrown into the game, and maybe he's just not that guy. And until these guys come back off the IRs, we're going to have to just patch things up. Other teams are doing the same thing. You can't blame it all on, Scooter, what's going on, Scooter? Say, we lose to Chicago, they'll probably pull the trigger. I'll take it one step further, Scooter, and if y'all remember me saying, and I think that was me and you talking, Scooter, I thought if you're going to make a move, it's two places. It would have been this week, which he has made clear that he's not, and it's obviously going to be after the Pittsburgh game, right before the bye. We finish up with Saints, Baltimore, Cardinals, and Tampa Bay. I think if he was going to make a move, he would have been doing it. So, we'll see. Facebook user says, what you mean, bro? I don't know what you're saying. Facebook user also says, Josh Allen would end up like Cam Newton. He takes too many hits. Yeah, the difference is Josh Allen can actually throw the ball, though. I mean, he might be taking some hits. This is true. But to compare him to Cam Newton is an insult to Josh Allen. I'll take Josh Allen every day, all day, if Buffalo fans get tired of him. That was a bad interception, but I also have to remember he was throwing the ball kind of bad all day. The man was hurt and still had an opportunity to win that game. That's what we don't have here. That opportunity, that guy that gives us that opportunity to win the games. You see those, even in spite of his fumble on the 1 yard line, still to be able to come right back, drive his team all the way down the field, nice downfield throws. And I mean, we can complain about stuff like that, but those are the type of quarterbacks that keep a head coach around, that keep a GM's job safe because you're performing like that. So I don't blame Josh Allen for a lot of that at all. I drive Mariota to Buffalo for myself. Dude, I would say I'll do one step better. I'll go Yellowstone on you. I'll take them on horse and take them all the way up there if they if they wanted to give him up. But I'm telling you, y'all, I get on these other sites and you were looking, just same people that wanted to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden he looked great yesterday. He didn't look great, but he looked good yesterday, bringing his team back. I mean, we live in the moment. We live week to week. A few weeks ago, we were ready pre-concussion to get rid of Tua down in Miami. Now Tua is one of the top quarterbacks going in the league. Kirk Cousins was a side joke to people. Y'all still got Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins is quarterbacking the second best team in the NFL this year. So we live vicariously week to week with this team. That's why right now the Falcons, we've lost 2 in a row. So of course the sky is falling. I just say if we were 4-6 in the division with Philadelphia, maybe I would, start thinking about being more serious about a Ritter decision. Man, we're 4-6. Tampa is 5-5. Tampa still has to play the Bengals. Tampa still has to go to Cleveland. I mean, this thing is not completely over. So while I'm not trying to sit here and blow smoke up your behind and try to tell you that the Falcons are ready for action, I am saying, but I understand Arthur Smith's rationale to a certain extent about let's ride this dude to the end. But I will say that I hope, and I'm sure he is, because he was critical of him in his press conference just to make sure we got to clean. You can't make foolish. You can't make you can't make decisions like he was making on Thursday night. Mariota made some really bad decisions that day. Millie Mills says our struggling quarterback play got us to 4-6 and still in the mix of the NFC. Why not stay with the bum that got us there? We're still in the mix. And there is nothing to argue about that rationale. I know it's not what people wanted. Listen, right after the Carolina game, I was one of the first people to say, yeah, it's time to maybe make that change because we're just coming off seeing that debacle. And when you just see it, that's why I like to call Mondays the aftermath and what we have, because after calming down and just getting a whole picture of what's going on, you know, sometimes that'll change your opinion on what you need to do going forward. So I honestly believe he thinks we're right on schedule. What he may be concerned about is the secondary and offensive line, and we should be. Those are two major spots, especially the secondary. I think folks are gashing. Look, let's not pretend like they weren't gashing us when AJ and Hayward were there at the beginning. I mean, New Orleans made a mockery of us on the first day, and Cooper Kupp made us look bad too. I hope he's okay too. That I hate to see good players go down on teams, but yeah, man. I mean, the injuries are making a difference. Clayton, what's going on? Clayton said, I've always been questioning Arthur Smith's game plan. He's doing some Quidditch stuff evening last year. You know, I think last year, I'm willing, and I'm still, for the record, yeah, the fire Arthur Smith, and I know nobody has said it. The fire Arthur Smith, the Arthur Smith is garbage, stuff like that. I still am willing to give him a 2-year buy from last year to this year, because last year you inherited a team that you really probably didn't want to have. I think it was clear you worked with Matt Ryan to do some things, but Matt Ryan was not doing what you wanted to do in your offense. That's why you went out and got Marcus Mariota. We had some choices of some other free agent quarterbacks, or we probably could have had some people we could have traded for. Thinking we would have thought about trading for Geno. I don't know. But I don't want to go to the Quinn comparison. That's way too easy. In Quinn's second year, Quinn had us in the Super Bowl. So that's kind of hard to, when I hear that, I know it's easy 5 years after Quinn to say that. 2 years in with Quinn, we were on the doorstep of winning the NFC South and going to the Super Bowl. So I hear you completely. I understand the question of Arthur Smith. I hate the comparison to Quinn. That's kind of not fair. How many games in? 27 games into your second year. Said Ritter didn't separate himself in the preseason. That's a fair statement, because I feel like if he did, you would probably see Ritter out there. And I just think, Coach Smith, we have to have faith in the people who are there at practice watching. And if he's at practice saying that Ritter isn't the guy, who are we to say? We could sit here and speculate all day. We could show all the Cincinnati Bearcat film that we want to show. We can show all of that stuff. And that still might not mean that Ritter jumps in the game and all of a sudden it's to catch me out. Coach sees it. And I don't think Arthur Smith is a bad coach so far. I think he's had some situations that he's made some questionable calls. All coaches do. Mike McCarthy made questionable calls, and I know he's not the greatest. Bill Belichick has made some questionable calls this year. So it's easy to play the dump on Smith thing, but I think he's done a pretty decent job. Millie says, hell, Ritter might be trash too. I mean, he didn't beat Marcus Mariota. He could be. Only thing I just caution against that is, again, maybe this was the plan all along. When you go as far in the training camp to come out and say Marcus Mariota is my number one quarterback and that's how we gonna rock, and that's what Arthur Smith did. I think he was very serious. That's what he did. Raymond in the house, what's going on, man? Said, what are we going to do about this wet paper towel defense? Now, another no excuses, but boy, we have been hit in the secondary, and all of a sudden now, the defensive line guys that we were talking about in preseason, look at these guys grind, look at these guys effort and heart in preseason. Now we might be questioning, the motor of some of these guys. Look, we came out in the first game against New Orleans and sacked Jameis 4 times. And everybody thought we were just on the doorstep of being the Grits Blitz Part 2. And then all of a sudden, reality set in, and we're back to the good old Falcons not being able to put any pressure on anybody, letting Justin Herbert. You see Justin Herbert eventually in that second half, once Frisco started doing their thing, what a little pressure can do. It's something else, man. Here we go. So I think Arthur Smith prefers a vet quarterback. Ritter is just an insurance policy. I don't even think so much insurance policy. I think there is a thought, unless there's some miraculous way we end up in the top 5 or top 10 for some of these quarterbacks coming out, that Ritter might be the guy. And let's pump the brakes on, and I know you're not saying this, whoever this is. I know you're not saying it, but let's kind of restart how great this quarterback class was supposed to be. I heard of course, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, who have definitely been looking solid. But then the guy in Florida, everybody was supposed to be crazy about. Will Levis was supposed to be the guy. My man in Mississippi State. I mean, we have all these guys. We had some surprise folks. The dude in UCLA is having a good year. Penix up there in Seattle with the University of Washington. Hooker, of course, with Tennessee. I mean, are there any folks out there? And I know Hooker, to me, Hooker is the guy who's caught my attention quite a bit. But who knows? Maybe you don't need to go top 5 for him. I don't know. But there's not necessarily insurance policy. I think they planned on giving him an opportunity in the next year or two. I do not think there was ever a long-term plan to have Marcus Mariota here with this team. A long-term plan. I think there's a short-term plan, but I don't think there's a long-term plan. Said Ritter played well in the preseason for a rookie. He did. He said, well or great. Don't know what you're talking about. Did he separate himself? Maybe not, but the potential is there. And that's what I'm saying. So in contrast to the insurance policy, maybe he's just saying, hey, maybe you need to sit. Maybe you need to look at that Microsoft Surface for a season so you can see what's going on. Because, Marcus Mariota is running the offense, but I'm pretty sure Ritter gets his reps sometimes in practice and he gets an opportunity. He might not get game speed yet, but he's seeing what you do. He's seeing what you're not supposed to do. I don't mind, again, 1 hour after the game, of course, the backup quarterback is the most popular person on the team. I fall victim to that all the time. Fell victim to it on Thursday. But after the smoke's cleared and after everything's settled, I'm not shocked and I'm not mad that they are continuing to go to Marcus Mariota. Facebook user says potential, yes. If the season is over, you probably put him out there, but this is too crucial of a time to straddle the fence. And folks, I know, we're not good enough to start penciling in W's just because the other team has a similar record or they look bad or whatever. As suspect as Chicago, even though Justin is looking good, Chicago, Washington, Pittsburgh, as suspect as all those teams have looked, just like us, they've also had flashes where they've shown, hey, maybe in the future we can, do some things. So, yeah, we right now, while we're one game out for the division, stick to the status quo. If only the Browns would have stayed in Ohio, minded their business, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Now, we would be having a conversation for the first 11 games, that's for sure. But yeah, I hear you. And when somebody was talking about Terry Fontenot and saying what he thinks, one of the things I do like about Terry, and despite why, it didn't happen. Well, we know why it didn't happen. Cleveland came in and gave all that guaranteed money. And of course, we eventually find out he's going to suspend it, all that good stuff that you just say, well, I'm glad we didn't do them. What I am glad is that we have a GM that's not afraid to swing for the fences. That's a big deal that he was about to try to reel in Deshaun Watson. That's a huge try for a GM. I mean, he's like, no, I want our quarterback situation settled. Let's go out and get the most talented guy that's available. And I'm not mad at Terry for trying to do that. For somebody who was asking earlier about what Terry was thinking, I like this going into the offseason. I know people wanted the Lamar Jackson talk, which you see a lot more outlets starting to talk about now, which is interesting. Yes, we know Baltimore might put a franchise tag. Putting a franchise tag on a player does not mean you can't still deal the player. I mean, we would have to give up a lot, but but is Terry that guy with a huge salary cap, a salary cap not only able to absorb a big money quarterback, but also steal enough after that to go get some other players too? So, who knows? And I'm not just stuck on Lamar, because I really don't think there's any other free agent quarterbacks out there that I would go get. So. Pitts has 3 drops this year. Well, he has 3 drops and not as many targets this year. So his ratio is probably that makes it probably look worse than it is. So yeah, but he does have a couple of drops. Says, I doubt that they are frustrated as some fans are. I'm sure Arthur Smith told Unicorn and Draco that they won't get as many targets if the run game is working. So they have to make the best of their limited targets. Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that they are frustrated. Yeah, I disagree with that one. Yeah, I'm sure they're frustrated. I saw the looks on. I saw that little talk to Smith on the way out on the sidelines. He's frustrated. Jeremy says, "What's up, Jeremy?" Say, I still think the defense is the biggest concern. Oh no, look, let's not. The headline of every team, all 32. The first thing you talk about on your team is your quarterback. I said it before, and I'll say it again. The most important position in North American sports is the NFL quarterback. And you can have Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey on your high caliber defense in the Rams. But if you don't have a competent quarterback in 2022, because Stafford, let's not act like Stafford was lighting it up before he got hurt, and then you're down to your second string in Wolford. I mean, quarterback is important. But, and then the reason I brought that up is to say the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows are always going to be blamed on the quarterback. And the credit given is always going to be on the quarterback. A couple of years ago, Kyler Murray was the cat's meow. And now, all of a sudden, now he's just a guy. So, we'll see. Facebook user says he's admitted to doing too much. Yeah, I mean, and I while I do like the transparency of saying that I'm doing too much, sometimes fans don't want to hear that. You're kind of like, okay, bro, I hear you taking responsibility. That's cool. But I also want you to just do better. Yeah, I hear you saying you're pressing. I hear it. That makes sense. But I just need you to do better. False Start says the run game is good. Insert DR4. The ball comes out quicker. I'm sure of this. Marcus is thinking on the field, and that's the last thing you want a football to do is think. Fair point. I want to believe that it'll come out quicker with Ritter. I do. Maybe there's something that Arthur believes that makes it think it won't come out faster. I don't know. But it is something that should be questioned. At the end of the day, it's hard to win with a bad quarterback. It's also hard to win with a bad defense. It's really hard to win when both are bad. And we're at that point right now where both of our defenses are not doing well. Both of our defenses, both sides of the ball are not doing well. Though I caution people, and I've said this to a couple of folks, the defense has not done a great job. I can't stand that we can't get off the field on third down. That bothers me. But in 6 of the 10 games, folks, this defense has only given up 2 touchdowns. And let's look at the last 2 losses. The Chargers game, 2 touchdowns. The Carolina game, 2 touchdowns. And if my defense is only allowing 2 touchdowns in the majority of the game, I need to be in the game. I think right now the only game we won that doesn't match that is the Carolina game. But the other games, the Seattle game, 2 touchdowns. Cleveland game, 2 touchdowns. Frisco game, 2 touchdowns. The first Carolina game, that was the high scoring game. And I'm missing one of them. I can't remember. The Tampa Bay game, 2 touchdowns. So if your defense is giving up all the 20 to 20 yards, I can understand the frustration with that. But if my defense is only letting them get in the end zone twice, and field goals count, my offense has got to be able to help too. And I'm by no means making that statement. Am I absolving the defense for bad play? All I'm saying is it's easy to point at the defense in the Carolina game. It's easy to point at the defense in the Chargers game when Herbert time after time kept hitting those 3rd and longs and 3rd and whatever. It's easy. But you gotta look big picture, man. It's not just about the bad defense any more than it is just about a bad quarterback. The fans will gravitate to, man, the defense sucks. Did they totally suck? They were bad, but did they totally suck? Carolina scored 25 points. Not like they ran it up on us. And you can argue, well, it is what it is. 25 points is 25 points. Chargers scored 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. 2 field goals and won that game. Is it fair to say the offense should have been complimentary and helped them out? I think so. Say we don't have the offensive line. Can y'all stop saying that he can't? Wait a minute. We don't have the offensive line. Can y'all stop saying he can't throw? He can't throw downfield. I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out. You saying he can't throw? Are you talking about Marcus? Because it's a fair point to say he can't throw downfield. Amarty says, I expect that Terry doesn't want to be bothered during the season. He's like, he's let, and I quote, let the coach be the voice of the locker room during the season. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you don't want a GM that's and most GMs don't do that. The only GM that you hear from every week is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the only GM that you hear from time and time and time and time and time again. You probably hear from Jerry Jones more than you hear from Mike McCarthy. because Jerry Jones liked that. Say, who knew Elijah Wilkins would have that big of an impact? Is that crazy? Right? Right? Remember at the beginning of the season, we were like, oh, what's this offensive line going to do? And he solidified some things. Man, what a difference a player makes. Raymond says the offensive line hasn't helped Mariota much either. Despite all the bad play, we can still get to the playoffs. This is true. We can't voice opinions on here without getting warnings and post removed now. That's not entirely true. For those who are in the Atlanta Bird gang, I'm not going to speak on. I will say this: there are a lot of things based on individual. We can play around with kid stuff. Some of you guys are pretty interesting. I'll say this: you're very interesting. You're trying to be interesting, and you're in game. And I think sometimes when it gets to the point where you're trying your best to be that super troll or trying your best to go against the grain just to get people to react, I think it is the responsibility sometimes of the admins to kind of quiet it down. Nobody has been blocked today. Nobody has been blocked. There have been people that have been possibly for post approval, but nobody has been blocked. But if I have to explain to some of you why, and you complain about why you're getting, I don't know. Some of you really need to kind of look at you. I'm not talking. I don't know who this is, but this group, the Atlanta Bird Gang group, I'm trying to tell you, is the most opinionated, for the most part, just about anything that's not super vulgar or spammy like is allowed. From talking about former quarterbacks, not ad nauseum, because when you get to ad nauseum, that's when the post approval comes into play. Let you talk about other teams, which again, to a minimum, but that's when the post approval comes in. So for those of you who just feel like you're not being able to voice your opinion, that's not entirely true. The spirit of the group is to talk about the Falcons. And the spirit of the group is to talk about current Falcons. Does that happen all the time? No. But if you take a rope and you keep, you pull on it a little bit and then you see it went through, you pull on it twice and then you see it went through and you just keep pulling. And some of y'all, I think, like to be put on post restriction or post approval. I think some of you do. I think people get off on it. Just like people get off on getting 100 likes for something stupid. So I whoever this is and start talking about without getting warnings, that's not true. 95% of the folks in this group have no warnings and no post removes. So for the 5% that are, maybe you need to kind of see what maybe you're doing. Or if you were personal with someone and you feel like, you might want to go back and look at that. But this group, I don't even have to name a lot of the Atlanta groups, but some of the Atlanta groups will kick you out for mentioning another player, for mentioning another team. So I'm not hearing all that. I mean, and let's keep it real. What's to stop you from making your own group? If you feel that bad about it, make you a group that says Atlanta Falcons and former players to talk about. Do that. But I'm not going to sit here. I can't let everybody just throw shots at the group and act like all they do is sit here and restrict. That's so not true. But God bless you. Armani says, I tell you what, Justin Fields is going to make is going to take this game personally. It's also going to be a lot of eyebrows raising if Chicago comes in here and whoops us. This isn't really a good game to probably throw Ritter in there. The Benz will be sold out under the pressure of going toe-to-toe with the hometown game. I don't know about sold out, Armani. I haven't seen a sold-out game in years. But it will probably be a nice contention of folks. This is actually one of the things I know a lot of people have been real hyped about the, Justin Fields, what could have been, things like that. Full disclosure, I am somebody who was very pro drafting him, but it is what it is. He wasn't drafted, and we moved on. And yes, it's going to be if he comes in here and rules the day. Woo! It's going to be an interesting day in Uncle Steve's Lounge and the Bird Gang. No kidding. Billy says, and MR2 just got a rookie head coach, their first win. Yeah, man, give our former quarterback a lot of credit, man. That 35-yard run that he's probably still taking oxygen for right now. He did the job, albeit against probably the worst team in the AFC right now. But nevertheless, a win is a win, so give him credit. I think Dean Pease has a trick or two for him. Look for Troy Anderson to spy. Maybe so. Justin a big boy though, and I know I saw Justin split through that Detroit defense and just outran them cats, man. I think we do have some guys that have some speed, but and our tackling is so inconsistent. There's some days we tackle well, but there are a lot of times our tackling is less than desired. So yeah, you're gonna have to tackle this game, no doubt. Brother Cam in the house said, we're what a game and a half out of first place. Thing is, Arthur has to switch up his play calling. It's not always on Super Mario. Absolutely not always on Mario. I've seen running backs get the ball, and I look straight ahead. And I know when you're on the field, you have to make a split-second decision. I've seen some of the running backs bounce some things out that I think they should have gone straight ahead for. I see wide receivers. Who knows? We're talking about Mariota possibly missing Kyle Pitts. Is Kyle Pitts running the right route? Is he going deep enough? Is he making the cut where he's supposed to? Easy for us to look at and say, oh man, Marcus overthrew him. He did that. But who knows? Maybe Kyle was supposed to be down there a little quicker or something. We don't know. But yes, I agree. It's not always on Marcus, and we do have to be diverse with that playbook. Said Fields is going to destroy us, and honestly, I won't be mad. And look, Fields has destroyed the last two teams he's played and had 2 losses. Chicago's defense, they have none. Their defense is traded away. They gave away their 3 best players. So let's not act like, Justin is going to do it all. Justin can't play defense. We have to take advantage of that. And maybe this is the ball control game that we need. Keep him off the field, man. The less he's off the field, the less he can score. Who knows? Scooter said we desperately needed 10 days to recruit. And I agree with that. This is a great time for a mini bye. You have, 3 games until the real bye. So we got Chicago, Washington, Pittsburgh. It would be great to go 3-0, but it would be better to go, not better. It would be great to go 2-1, but it would be better to go 3-0. And who knows, maybe this is an opportunity, as Scooter just said, to kind of see what's going on. Raymond says the linebackers too are concerned. Yeah, I know early in the year we were hyping up Michael Walker for his greatness, and now all of a sudden I see him on a couple of plays look a little discombobulated. Again, I don't know what the play call is. I don't know what they're doing, but it always seems like he's like 1 yard behind the runner. Boy, we made Deontay Foreman this year. We let him look like an all-pro in 2 games. So we'll see. Facebook user, I'm curious to see how they respond to the rest. Yeah. And again, a good time to rest, but let's see how they come back from that. We gotta be able to do something. Smitty, what's going on? Smitty Sport Machine on YouTube. Y'all make sure y'all run over there and subscribe if you already haven't. My brother says, what up? Arthur's got to be real with himself and stop overthinking his roster. Yeah, he said at the beginning of this year, Smitty, that the roster would be fluid. And I know at the very beginning, before the injury bug hit us, that people were coming in and out, and we were a little, skeptical. And hey, we just put him on the practice squad. Now he's on the team, and now this guy, didn't we just sign him? And wait a minute, he's on the practice squad, and now he's cut. What? I don't understand. Maybe what they're trying to do as an overall, again, the playoff run probably wasn't expected, but now that it's come, maybe instead of being fluid and trying to bring in folks to see how they work, maybe he's caught in a rock and a hard place between trying to find a good mix to win and trying to get people in to say, is this person going to be part of my 2023 roster? Because right now, 2021 and 2022, this is all setting up to see who sticks around for the big move next year. And I say the big move next year, with the money that we have next year and the way we see the rest of the division falling apart, the Falcons should be a major player in the NFC South next year. No matter how it ends up this year, the Falcons have set themselves up to be a major player in free agency. And I think we can build this thing up. I don't think he has any apologies, Smitty, about bringing people in the roster, cutting people. I think he's trying to find his perfect people to bring into next year's camp to go along with the veterans we're probably going to end up bringing out here. 10 days to prepare for a second-year quarterback will be interesting. Yep. Rookies play significant roles in 2016. Yep, absolutely. Say it should be. We still gonna be rebuilding our team for a few years. I don't know about a few years. Again, we have a lot of youth on this team, and think about the veterans. We're just bringing in people to plug in. I think the only person redeemable that we probably picked up with no intention of keeping them around was Cordero. Aside of Cordero, everybody else, the little 1-year contracts, bring them in. I don't think you're going to see Rashad Evans on this team next year. I don't think you're going to see Lorenzo Carter on this team next year. I don't think you will. Maybe. But I think you're taking the young folks that you still have under financial control for a couple of years, going to bring the best ones you have, bring them into camp, draft the next class, and bring in the free agents that you need in specific positions. Maybe that defensive line, maybe that edge rusher, possibly another cornerback. Those positions right there. I think from an offensive standpoint, take care of the trenches. Solidify that guard position. As good as Elijah has played, let's bring in a Hoss in that position. You might have to deal with replacing Caleb McGarry, who's starting to slowly morph back into the 2021 Caleb McGarry. Said no reason to change quarterbacks, bro. And again, that's your opinion, and I'm not sitting here trying to tell you people are right or wrong. I hear you. Let's see. Let's see, what's that say? I think something just as worrisome is how flat we come out for some of these games. We just came out and looked simply unprepared a few times under Arthur Smith. Cowboys last year, Patriots last year, Cincy this year, Carolina this year, fell behind 21-0 to LA and Tampa. That worries me more than anything. I'm not going to compare that Cowboys game. Yeah. Patriots game, I'm not even going to go there either. Cincy, I just think this team this year, even in these slow starts, I think this team is a little different this year. I like the effort more from the 2022 squad than I do last year. I think it's fair to compare because Arthur Smith is the head coach for both of those teams. But uh, I don't know. Look, when you, to your point, 21 zip fall behind the LA and Tampa. In both of those games, we came back. When you mentioned the Cowboys and Patriots, we didn't. So I hear what you're saying. The difference in those games that it was over last year. The difference in these games that you had an opportunity, legit opportunity to come back and win those games. So yeah, I hear you. Hey, what's up, Seth? How you doing, brother? I don't know what's going on with the I don't know what's going on with the Facebook thing. I think a couple of people told me they haven't been able to switch that over. So sorry about that. Another Facebook user says, I like Hendon Hooker and folks not talking enough about Michael Penix. I like Penix too. I do. And that's where you get into finding out. And who knows? Maybe they found out all they need to know about Ritter, and they're not going to be able to uh, get this. Hold on one second, y'all. Sorry about that. So yeah, I like both of those guys. I like Hooker and Penix. I think Hooker might mess around and be the first round. Hey, I think if we lose the next 2 or 3, we definitely need to give Ritter these next few games. Even if we don't get a top 4, top 5 pick, I still don't see us taking a quarterback. Now, Hooker is someone I see similar to Ritter. I think he might be a better runner of the ball, but Ritter will be the guy for us. We need to keep that defense going. Yeah, I agree with that. I do think we need to concentrate a lot more on defense and doing that. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay. I just got a note from my daughter, so I'm gonna have to wrap this thing up. Getting a couple of comments here. Uh, tell me about your bad day on YouTube. Says Mariota can't deliver pizza in a plastic grocery bag. Wow. Y'all are crazy. 330 says, um, in your opinion, has the script been written for the NFC South after Tampa Bay win? I don't think so. 330. I think you still got some life left in this yet. I talk to me after the Washington game. You talk to me after the Washington game. I don't know. New Orleans looks horrible. Carolina, as much as we look good, I think Carolina, they look good against us. Carolina's looked awful against everybody else. So it's kind of hard to judge. Listen, folks, as y'all see, I had to take a new view on this right here because I had to go upstairs. But I'll be back in the house next go round. Until then, y'all take care, and we'll catch y'all on the aftermath later on. For those in the Atlanta Bird game, I'm pretty sure Tidy's gonna have his grade, so we'll get with that and see what's going on. All right, y'all, take care. Be good. Peace.